This is our newest Smith Watkins artist, Buddy Deshler. I'm Richard Galime. I'm the current owner of DF Music, and we're the U.S. importer for Smith Watkins instruments. If you're not familiar with those, they are a high-end professional manufacturer for cornets, trumpets, and if you haven't heard about them in the news over the past year, they also made all of the fanfare trumpets that were all used at the most recent royal wedding. So Smith Watkins does pretty well for themselves.
They get around.
Yeah. They're doing a lot with instrument manufacturing. So, Buddy, you're our newest artist. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your music career?
So after I graduated from school, actually even like when I was in school, I was fascinated and interested in so many different aspects of music and of trumpet playing and cornet playing in general. So I didn't really limit myself, and I just was creating all these projects and outlets and opportunities in which to play. So I just kept following my interests and seeing where they led. And, now I have a pretty thriving career doing stuff in music education with my clinics and my festivals and performing, whether as a soloist or with different orchestras and chamber groups, and entrepreneurship with my lecture and just all of the projects that I've been
That's a good
together.
lecture. I've seen that one.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So you've done a lot. What are the most recent projects you're working on? What are the big things right now?
I'd say the biggest things are the two brass festivals that I run in the summer, the Fredericksburg Brass Institute in my hometown, Fredericksburg, Virginia, and then the Tidewater Brass Institute in Virginia Beach, and playing with the Dallas Brass, so going on tour with them. And then this lecture I do, the Entrepreneurial Student, at different colleges, which is focusing on, you can have and build a music career now while you're a student rather than waiting until after graduation and diploma is in the hand. And then just traveling as a guest clinician and performer, whether that be for trumpet or cornet.
Right. So you're doing a lot. I mean, you're getting around. Yeah. You're a busy guy. So with everything that you do, and I mean, you're a cornet artist for Smith Watkins, and cornet in the U.S., unlike in England, is not necessarily the primary instrument. I mean, everyone's going for trumpets. So what about your career and your playing brought you to want to incorporate cornet more into your style?
Yeah. Well, I think there's just so much history and tradition, and I kind of respect that so much. So I wanted to be well-rounded and well-versed in, our trumpet's heritage in a way. So that led me to cornet. And in the United States, we have, the famous cornet soloists. And it was so big in community bands. And I think with a lot of literature out there, with a lot of tradition out there, it was still bred in this community aspect, this just playing cornet for the love of it. And even in England and other parts of Europe with cornet, and with those bands, yes, they have these massive competitions, even the NABA competition here in the United States.
Right.
But people join that because it's their town. They're being a part of their town's band. So even now, with all the stuff that I see in the cornet players I interact with and in the brass bands, cornet just has this very welcoming idea and attitude to it. It's something that unites us. It's something that we have friends. There's a lot of pride, whether it be our hometown or just our band in general. So I think it was just like this really friendly and welcoming tradition, both in the United States and in Europe. And I just have been trying to do it justice by being more versed in it.
I mean, you sound great on it. I've heard you do a lot on the cornet. And you're right, the community aspect. I mean, I moved to Chicago 10 years ago now, and one of the first groups that I got into was a brass band, and I hadn't done a lot of cornet playing, and that was the instrument I had to play. I'm a trumpet player, so I went to cornet, and everyone was great. Just like you were saying, it's a much more welcoming thing, and I think the sound is beautiful.
Oh, I mean, definitely.
I love hearing cornet being played, and you are starting to see it pop up a little bit more in like jazz ensembles and
chamber music.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's definitely becoming more of a prominent thing for a trumpet player's career to have to play cornet.
It's also just another color. It's another voice that we can implement. I mean, if we're going to play flugelhorn and we're going to play piccolo trumpet, having the cornet and trying to do it in a cornet style rather than playing it like a trumpet. So going for that classic cornet sound that we've kind of fallen
Right.
in love with and associated with.
Yeah, I mean, that opening piece you played was very classic cornet. What is that piece?
That's
that
Endearing Young Charms.
right.
Believe
Yeah,
me
and
for those
those,
Endearing Young Charms.
it's just a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
So, with all the playing you're doing and everything, why Smith Watkins? What makes Smith Watkins the instrument that you found a place with, that you were comfortable with in the professional setting that you're in?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of great cornets and there's a lot of great instruments already out there, but ultimately you want to pick up a horn and just feel comfortable. And I think you even use that to describe the question, like what brings you comfort. And it's how comfortable it is, how easy the response is playing, and getting that classic cornet sound, and not having to work hard to do it. So the equipment is there, the quality is there, and the comfort is there.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it was really great to have you here. Thank you for talking about the cornets.
Any day.
Yeah. If you want to learn more about the Smith Watkins instruments, you can check out our website at www.dfmusicinc.com. And if you want to learn more about Buddy and see some of his videos and his playing, you can go to
www.buddydeshler.com.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.